The bitch is back, honey. Hey, Shalligators. I know it's been so long since I've talked to you guys. As I'm doing this video, I'm like, do I remember how to do this? I've done this. Have I done this before? I'm sorry. I come at you looking how I look, but what is this? Oh, Jesus. But I come with a pure heart to talk about a possibly impure subject today. Kylie Jenner and Timothee Chalamet. Timothee Chalamet. I honestly think I was pronouncing it right when I was being a douchebag. Because he's French, or his name is French, and the French are douchebags. I know for two reasons. Number one, I just got back from Paris 2 nights ago for our fabulous, truly, truly amazing Shalligator getaway. And secondly, I am French, so it takes a douche to know a douche. Okay, honey, run the game on somebody else. Je suis aussi. Anyway, we're going to talk about whatever the hell is going on with them today, because I thought it was just like hogwash, poppycock, baloney that people were saying they were dating, because there was a picture of them like turning and smiling at each other, looking like someone was walking in an event and someone was walking out or waiting for the valet. And I'm like, come on, dude. Like, I look at a lot of people and smile at them, sometimes even dogs. I'm not dating any one of them. But then her car was spotted in his driveway. Now, some are saying this is the work of the devil herself, Kris Jenner. She's a god to me. Okay, I love her. That maybe like she made Kylie just like drive into the driveway, take a pic, and then leave. Oh, that would be so good. But what if it isn't? What if where there's smoke, there's fire? And there's potentially sex? What's going on? We're going to talk about this. As I film this, I'm not even sure what the theme is going to be, but it usually presents itself. And don't worry, this is not the last video I'm going to do. Tomorrow, I'm going to hit you with Taylor Swift and Joe Alwyn breaking up, because of course, like I said when I was in Paris, like the biggest celebrity news always happens when I'm out of town. I go away to Palm Springs. A-Rod cheats on J-Lo. I go someplace else, like Kim and Kanye get divorced. I'm like, can I have a moment to myself? Do you guys realize how selfish you are? So stay tuned for that topic, plus a whole bunch of other ones. I know I've got like a bunch on deck. And in the meantime, follow me on Instagram, ShallonXO. You can keep up with my Paris adventures. If you like history, you guys, if you already follow me, you know that I do my little, like influencer pics, but I use history for the caption. I tell you some really cool, fun, historical details and tidbits and tales from wherever I happen to be at the moment. And if you want to know a little bit more about what I'm doing as I'm jet sitting around, who I'm dating, drama with friends, join the Shallontourage. It's a place where you can also make friends. It's our cozy little fan group on the internet. It's an amazing community. It's like amazing. You get, I think, like 4 or 5 videos, podcasts, extra bits of content a week made by yours truly, and the chance to connect with like 400 or 500 Shalligators on our Telegram group chat, which is like the best thing in the world. I'm on there all day just talking. I have no life. It's great. Anyway, let's talk Kylie and Timothee. So I asked you guys on Instagram, what is the topic here? And so many of you guys pointed to how skinny this dude is. He's probably 110 pounds soaking wet. And people are like, she will break him in half. And like, Kylie she's lost a lot of weight. Ozempic, I mean, she clearly is on Ozempic. That whole family isn't. I mean, obviously, no shade to that. Like, do whatever you got to do to feel your best. I don't fucking care. But I don't think of Kylie as like a wafy girl. I think of like Kendall like that. Like, from a physical standpoint, I could see Kendall and Timothee like matched up a little better because they're both just like spaghetti. You know, they're just noodles. Kylie to me is like I don't want to say thick because she's not, but she's so like buxom, plastic. But you know what I mean? Like, I don't think of her as like a delicately framed person. I don't know how tall is she? I know she's not like super short, because Kendall's tall and Bruce is tall. Caitlyn, whatever. Don't get me started. But so many of you guys were like, physically, I cannot see this. She would crush him. and I thought, like, that was my initial reaction too. Like, what is the fit here? Because he's just like a million angles and she's a million curves. So, okay. But let's think about her history. She loves nothing more than like ropey, gristly, angular men. Tyga isn't really setting the world on fire with his muscle tone. And then there's Travis Scott, who is like just a piece of gristle. Like if you carved a face into a Slim Jim that you buy at the gas station, I feel like that's Travis Scott. And just added a whole bunch of pills, because that's what he seems to be on all the time. He started out so hot and then he took such a turn. He just looks like dusty. Is that a word? I feel like I hear Girls use that word? I don't know. Is it applicable? I'm glad she's rid of him. They make cute babies, but you got the babies, move on. And good for you, Kylie, you are. So let's see what some of you guys had to say. Just slander and rant, please. Love it. I will do that. Almond or trash? Love. Ooh, I like this one. How to catch a guy who usually doesn't go for a girl like you. I like this. So who do we know that Timothee has dated? Wasn't it Lily Rose Depp that he had those ghastly, like Frenching, like wide open mouths, Frenching with their mouth holes? Those photos from a yacht, was it last year or something? And I think, didn't she even like apologize for those? She's like, sorry, because it seemed to be very staged. Like they called the paparazzi to photograph him from another boat. And here they are like tonguing, it was a lot. It was a lot. That's the only girl I can think of off the top of my head that he's dated. Is he hot? He's got that sort of like, that snaky confidence. Like I don't think he walks. I think he slithers. Have we seen him walk? Like upright on 2 feet? I don't picture it. I picture some sort of slither. He's just got that face. And I don't even mean that in a bad way. It's because there's something attractive about a slither. He's like a sidewinder, like just like sidewinding around. But he's got those sort of sunset eyes that are always like half open, like he's maybe just draped himself in bed, or he's maybe a little high or a little drunk. There's something sinister about him in a sexy way. And Timothee, good for you, man. You had to take some sort of bold stance and a route because, yeah, I don't think you're going to be winning any bar fights lately. I live in Montana, so I like a big, rough and tumble man who can defend himself. Tim. I mean, the name Timothy alone is not a rugged name to me. Tell me some of the names. Tell me in the comments names that are like manly names. For me, it's like Tom, James, like old Henry, like names like that. And what names you're like, please don't come any closer. For me, it's like Bryce, Seth, Braxton, like Timothy. Timothy to me is like Blaine. Like it's up there with Blaine. Has there ever been a straight Blaine? There is not. How to catch the guy who usually doesn't go for girls like you. Okay. You want to know how? Make yourself as much like this dude as possible. Seriously. I'm not telling you to shapeshift into a completely different person, but actually, in fact, I am. Look, I mean, if that is the reality of seduction. People like a mirror. Opposites, in fact, don't attract. There are 4 pillars of compatibility, and it all aligns with you have to be like the other person. Similar goals, similar religious and political beliefs, the same way you recreate, right? Similar overall personality. Nowhere in the pillars of compatibility is they're wildly different than me. The differences can be something like, he likes sushi and I don't. I like country music, he likes metal. But actually, even when you think about those can be sort of ruinous as well. I don't want to date a guy who only listens to metal and thinks my Morgan Wallen playlist is stupid. Not at all. And that's so minor. Could you date someone who has a wildly different career path? They're an artist, they're just like bohemian. You're going to Stanford Med. Is that compatible? You're Islamic, he's Jewish. Is that compatible? He's a night owl, you're an early riser. He's an extrovert, you're an introvert. These are very difficult things to reconcile. And you know what? Dating and love is hard enough when all of those things do align. Because if you're too similar, you run the risk of boredom. There's no real spark, there's no novelty, there's no discovery. You're just too much in lockstep. So like with anything else, and I talk about this a lot in the Shallontrage and our videos and story times you do, is the middle path. You want to find someone who is aligned with you on those 4 pillars of compatibility, which again, to go over these: physical compatibility, the chemistry; intellectual compatibility, you're roughly the same kind of intelligence. I don't know a lot of really smart people who date idiots. And I am quite smart, and idiots don't like me. So here we go. Spiritual compatibility, emotional compatibility, right? And like we said, it's also got to be things like how you recreate, common goals, things like that. So you want to dial up as much of the compatibility things as you can and dial down the things that could be a problem down the road. The incompatibility things, the stuff that makes you an other. We're tribal creatures, aren't we? We want to be around people who seem like they're part of our tribe. Now look, Timothy and Kylie, and one of you guys, Vicky, hi Vix, pointed this out. You're like, I can actually like see this working between them. I mean, yeah, they are very, very famous, but they're relatively private. Like, we don't know a lot about Kylie's personality. Like, I couldn't tell you one personality trait about Kylie Jenner. I could not describe her with any sort of adjectives. And I couldn't describe him either. I don't know anything really about his life. And maybe because I'm not like a Timothy stan, but I think that that says a lot. Like, I think someone like Kim Kardashian or Khloe or Kourtney, you don't have to be up close to know like a lot about them. They're much more open. They share a lot more. They have much more strong personalities, you know? So in that sense, maybe Kylie and Timothy are evenly matched, that they're public, but they're also very private. And the things that they do share are kind of like decoy traits, you know, to make it seem like they're opening up, but they're not. They're also clearly in the same industry. They understand the fame machine. They understand the stan machine. Their fans are both pretty out there, you know, pretty insane and rabid. People like are melting down at this news. So maybe they're not as incompatible as we think. Yeah, physically though. I mean, we like to think, we would love to think, and this is society. He's so deep and she's so shallow. Right? Isn't that always how it goes? Very rarely do we hear like, well, he seems like a flibberty gibbet and she's just like so deep and intellectual, especially when we're talking about celebrities. Like I can't think of a male-female duo in Hollywood where you're like, he's an idiot and she's super smart. Well, maybe Zoe Kravitz and Channing Tatum. But I love him. I love him. And again, like, how is she that smart? I don't know. She seems like it. She seems like it. Like, her parents are pretty smart. She seems like that spiritual kind of smart. Like, she would just like know things about stuff. Like stuff. I sound real smart. Do you remember 45 seconds ago when I said I was really smart and dumb guys don't like me? Nice. To be fair, I'm still in Paris time, so be gentle with me. Meet me where I'm at. So how can you get that guy? Fine. I agree. We should not be twisting ourselves into a completely different person. He likes anime. Oh my God, I like anime. If you don't like anime, don't act like you do. Because eventually it's gonna come out. The mask drops. If you have an interest in anime and you're like, oh, I've actually always been curious about it, but I haven't really gotten further than tentacle porn. Can you teach me about this? Okay, that's actually a great move because men love to be asked questions and men communicate to solve problems, right? Everyone likes to feel like an expert. And men, it boosts their ego to be like, oh, you're higher than me in this category. Higher, you know what I mean. Can you teach me about it? They like that feeling. Men are hardwired to provide. And so if they can provide you with intelligence and experience, whatever, they're gonna really like that. But don't go and be like, I know, yeah, no, I know about this. It has the tentacles and I know. If you don't know, and especially if you don't have any interest, then don't pick that. Look for something that you actually do have aligned with him to play up. And if you're sitting here thinking, well, I don't know what that would be, why are you doing this then? Well, I like him. Do you? Because you don't seem to have anything in common. So what about him do you like? He's popular? Okay. But don't tell yourself, I like this guy. What you can shift into is, I am using this guy for his clout. Love that. Love that look for you. Because that's going to keep you from getting emotions involved with someone who they're like a shadow person. Like they don't really exist to your soul. You're not connecting, but you can talk yourself into it and talk yourself into a crush. I spent my whole life doing it, but I like him. Name one thing you like. The himness of him. What I liked about him was he was popular. It was the clout. It was the emotional getaway car, right? It was what he was going to do for me in my life. But the actual him, the sitting across from someone at a dinner table or next to them on the couch talking, not sure. Not really sure. Name 5 adjectives to describe this guy. He's a male. No, girl. And that was me for a very, very long time. So if you are trying to get the guy who wouldn't normally go for you, maybe there's a reason he wouldn't normally go for you. And hold on. Maybe you wouldn't go for him either. Maybe you wouldn't go for him either. Why are you going for him? If it is because it's like, well, he's a different, unique kind of person that I've dated, that I am, and I want to learn from that, you are in danger of cementing a hurt locker. That's some hurt locker shit right there. That's how it starts. And hey, what do we say about hurt lockers? It's not always people we want to date. It's very often someone we want to be. And we don't know how to process that when it's in the opposite sex. When it's a girl crush. We want to be like her. She's my mentor. Sometimes it comes out as enemy, right? Haters are just confused admirers. When we have that dynamic with a man, we imprint on them and we cannot let go because we don't know how to be honest with ourselves. Like, I want to be him. So if that is what it is, nip that in the bud, head it off at the pass. Be like, I want to borrow these traits for him. The last hurt locker I had in Montana, and it's funny because I've now had two. I mean, one was very, very recent, and they had this exact same angle. They had the same angle. They were very socially integrated. They had the socialization that I wanted. The first one, when I first moved to Montana, I didn't know anybody, and he seemed to know everyone. And now that the shine has worn off, and I've been there for like 3 years, this new hurt locker, like, it was a different level of social integration he had. He was going to like fundraisers and, you know, stuff that I used to do in New York City that I don't do in Montana. And I was smart enough. I had some decent moments of clarity, and I pulled back and I'm like, that's why I like him. He's a getaway car. He's not a getaway car. He's a place. I'm cutting the line with him. I'm cutting that social line. I will get into the social level that I want. And I thought, no, because he is a full ass mess of a person. He's an absolute circus. What I want to do instead, climb the social ladder for myself. I did it in New York City. You think I can't do it in Bozeman, Montana? And I loved climbing the social ladder in New York. It was so fun. It was so satisfying. I also did it in high school. I did it in college. Like, it was very deeply satisfying for me to go from like a nobody to an it girl. You know, and for other people that doesn't matter. It does for me. Great, cool, different strokes. And so, but because I was able to look that in the face, I'm like, okay, now we have a goal for this summer. We're going to get involved in charities. We're going to meet a whole bunch of different people. We're going to like host mixers and tell people to bring a +1 to my house. I have a great group of friends, but I'm ready to expand, you know? But I was able to see that before the hurt locker got too out of control. And listen, that doesn't mean I still don't think about him. I'm so completely twisted over the circus person. But it's manageable because now I understand why some of that affection was rooting so deeply. There's plenty of affection for him that's not hurt lockerish. It's just affection. I liked him. But now I am more in control. Knowing is control. Knowledge really is power. So if you're looking at the guy who would never go for me, really try to dismantle that before you just dive headfirst into that crush without understanding why. It doesn't mean that he won't still end up liking you. It doesn't mean you shouldn't like him. But again, you need to be in charge of your feelings and not the other way around. Let's see what else. A lot of why. How to be as insufferable and boring and overrated as humanly possible. I'm not sure who she's talking about. I'm going to assume it's Kylie. But maybe I can't assume that. I do need to talk about how boring and insufferable Kylie is. So like, I'm an influencer, right? And I love to take pictures. I do a lot of photo shoots. I travel, I take photo shoots. And if you guys follow my Instagram, you know that I take very unusual pictures. I just signed with a new management and they said the same thing. They're like, we don't see any influencer taking the pictures that you take. Like these crazy Marie Antoinette things, like fight scenes. Because I'm like, why the fuck not? Like, how many times can you stand there and be like, ooh, the sexy. Well, if you ask Kylie, it's unlimited. The limit does not exist. Her pictures are so goddamn boring and so cliche and so generic. They are so generic. She is honestly a bad model. And if you've never done modeling, you're like, all models are the same. No, they're not. Some people have an it factor and a sparkle, and I'm sorry, Kylie isn't one of them. When it comes to like static pictures, like photos, she's not. She has no real fire. Like, I saw this layout she did, and they dressed her up as Marie Antoinette. And so I was like very interested in it because I was just in Paris. I did my own Marie Antoinette shoot. And they put her in like these Marie Antoinette clothes, but like in her office. So it was like a cool juxtaposition. Her face is so flat. She's just like dead behind the eyes. And she's a pretty girl, but she can't really make a lot of expressions because she's so surgerized. She looks weird if she smiles. She really does. She's like, it's just a weird, puffy, keep your natural face, girls. But, I don't get the appeal of her. I get the appeal of, Kendall is so incredibly beautiful. And she does things that are a little bit more interesting, a little bit moodier. Kylie, Kylie ain't it. Kylie ain't it. Overrated is exactly the word. She seems like a very nice person. I'm not like shitting on her as a person. I'm shitting on her as an influencer. Big difference. She just doesn't have an it factor, to me, that merits this insane amount of popularity. But clearly I'm wrong because she has it. So clearly I'm like in the minority here saying I don't get it because like, what is it? 350 million people who follow her do get it. So egg on my face, whatever. One of y'all said, I'm not even sure if that's a downgrade or an upgrade. Facts. When you date under your league and out of your type, who are we referring to? Under your league and out of your type. Who do you think is out of whose league in here? Timothy is a really, really good actor. And the indictment of the Kardashians has always been they're famous for nothing. They're famous for nothing. But my defense of them has always been like, yeah, exactly. They turned a blowjob into $1 billion. Who on earth has done that? That's incredible. Good for them, to be famous for nothing and to keep making money and to keep becoming famous. Like, that in and of itself is a talent. It's like a snake eating its own tail. This is all very existential and meta. But Timothy, on the other hand, has a lot of talent. Everything he lacks in muscle tone, he makes up for in talent. I bet he's got a big one. Because he's skinny. Skinny dudes. They're like tripods. Go to Florida. All the dudes are skinny. Hung like horses. It's wild. So it's interesting if you believe that Timothy is dating under his league, like beneath him. Is he? Is she? Should she be dating someone who's like a manly man? I don't know. Tell me, what do you guys think about this? It's interesting. Lots of ews. Why you should go for the mediocre skinny white guy. As someone who has dated many mediocre white men. Yeah. Hold on. I'm trying to think of a reason to date them. We covered the penis aspect. Penis thing. This is an interesting debate. The pros of mediocrity. A few years ago, quite a few years ago, like over a decade ago, I think even more, there was a book called Marry Him, The Case for Mr. Good Enough. And holy shit, did this book make waves when it came out, because it was, I'm sure you can figure out what it's about. It's marry him. And I read it and I was like, rah! I was like incensed when I wrote it. I was in my 20s, or wrote it. I didn't write it when I read it, because the thesis is, look, if you want a bunch of kids and you want a husband, you need to stop being so goddamn picky, because actually you don't realize what it takes to make a marriage work. You're looking for a 10. You aren't a 10, sweetheart. You might be an 8 and that's great, but you're not a 10. So you're throwing guys out because, I don't like the way he dresses and he's not tall enough. They focus a lot on the not tall enough thing, because that is like, we all like really tall dudes. Like, sorry, short men can have each other. But she makes the case. She's like, what makes a marriage happy? What makes a relationship happy? It's not height. It's not fashion. It's the pillars of compatibility. And are you throwing away people who you might be really compatible with because you're being nitpicky about these fairly surface things? A year from now, if a guy treats you like shit, but he's 6'2", are you going to be okay with that? Versus a guy who's 5'9" and he treats you like a queen? And if you are like, no, I want the tall guy who treats you like shit, good luck out there, girl. Like, you're not going to get married. You're not going to have a family. And if you do, it's not going to be a happy one. And I mean, that's how I describe this book now, years later, now that I've kind of let that information percolate and I've been married and I've done this job for a while and I know what I know. And she makes a very good point. But at the time, I was like repelled by this. I'm like, how fucking dare you? Of course I deserve a guy who's tall and this and blah, blah, blah. I'm waiting for the George Clooney. I'm waiting for the George Clooney. And I do stand by that because I don't want kids though. Right? And so I have all the time in the world to wait it out for the best guy in the world. But if you do want that kind of life, and great, good for you. There's no shame in that. You know, want whatever you want. You have to make some sacrifices. You know, some things have to fall away. Where are we going with this? Oh, why we should settle for a mediocre guy. Because maybe the mediocre guy can give you what you want. Maybe he's not going to be the life of the party. Maybe he's not ever going to make the Fortune 500 list. Maybe he's not going to be the cool dude or the dude with the hugest dick or the tallest or the biggest truck or whatever. But maybe he's going to treat you amazing. And maybe he's going to be like, yes, let's have a baby. Yes, let's get married. Yes, I want to meet your family. Yeah, let's go to church. Are we overlooking people because they don't check some boxes? And how important are those boxes? How many boxes should there even be? This is an interesting thing to think about, you know? My mom was actually telling me the other night, she's like, you have a very rigid set of criteria. I'm like, yeah, I know. She's like, I mean, there's things you won't budge on. That's correct. But there's a lot of things I do. There's a lot of things I budge on. Like, give me a minute. No. I will get back to you. I hate it when my mom's right. Mom's right. She's always right. Yeah. So I'll get back to you on my budge list. Might explain some things, but I justify it. I'm like, well, I bring a lot to the table. And what does a man have to budge on when he dates me? How about the fact that I could shred him on the internet to hundreds of thousands of people? That's a compromise. So maybe I should be a little less fucking picky. I can budge on height. I'm short. So if a guy's short, okay. I can budge on if he's balding. I really don't care. I think guys with shaved heads are hot. I can budge on a guy if he has kids. I would like to be a stepmom. If he's divorced, okay. If he's kind of nerdy, I prefer that actually. You know, if he's not the life of the party or outgoing, okay. I can budge on a guy who maybe drinks too much. That honestly doesn't bother me. Maybe it should. Not like an alcoholic, but I don't really drink at all. And if he does drink, like, that's fine. I mean that in like, I don't need someone to be lockstep with my diet and exercise and drinking habits. Like, he can have his own, you know? So that's whatever. So there you go. Is that helpful? Tell me what things you will budge on. Don't tell me the things you won't, because we don't want to focus on that. Tell me the things that are elastic and malleable. And tell me if you think that chick who wrote "Marry Him" has got a point. If you are married, tell me what things you budged on. And is it worth it? In hindsight, are you like, no, that actually should have been a non-negotiable? You know, I think we as women, we do focus too much on the superficial, you know, the height, the hair, is he cool? But as we get older, we realize that those things are superficial, because when we're younger, we say, no, that's not superficiality. That is the makings of chemistry. And how could I budge on chemistry, right? But again, as we get older and as we know ourselves more and we become more complex and diverse, there are more ways to seduce us. I was a very one-dimensional seductive target when I was younger because I was a one-dimensional person. There were less like ports of entry for seduction. You had to be hot. That was kind of it. But now that I'm older and I'm more traveled, I'm smarter, I make more money, I'm better in business. You can seduce me on any one of those points, and holy shit, if you can do a bunch of them at once, oh, daddy, I'm yours, right? But a lot of people, they don't diversify themselves as they grow up. They just get older and they're one-dimensional and old. And so therefore, they are going to always be like shaking their fists like, no, 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 I need the guy who's tall. I need the guy with a lot of hair. No, girl, you need to diversify yourself. You need to grow the fuck up, for lack of a better word, and grow not just up, but you need to grow interesting. Because when you say that, all that we see is someone who's shallow. Because clearly when you're like, I want a guy who's got a big dick and he lifts and he's got all his hair and he's got tattoos, like, okay, so you're attracting a man who's like, I want her to have the biggest tits possible. I like a girl who lifts heavy. I like it to be blonde. I like those eyebrows that look like sperm. I fucking love that. Cool. Like two shallow matches made in shallow heaven. So if you want diverse, you got to give it. Susanna said, not a topic really, but just when did women start liking frail looking feminine men? There is something to be said for non-threatening men. And there's a reason why young girls, adolescent girls, like the Justin Biebers. There has been a Justin Bieber throughout like pop culture history. They're fine featured, they're bright-eyed, they look like they would say yes ma'am to your mom. They're not the bad boys, they're the sweet boys. And I do think some girls like bad boys, but a lot of them don't, especially when you're younger. Like, no, they're scary, they're overwhelming. And when I was young, I liked short, feminine guy. I like basically Justin Bieber lesbians, Justin Bieber. And as I've gotten older and again, more mature, more confident with myself, I want a bigger, rugged man. You know, it's kind of interesting how those traits shift. So I think it's a real tell when I see a girl with a feminine man, I think she's not very confident in who she is as a woman. That's kind of what I think. Because when I look back on myself and when I preferred those types of guys, that's how I felt. Now, there were a lot of factors that went into that. I was sexually assaulted in college. I was afraid of men. I didn't want a big, scary man. That was exactly how it felt, big and scary. I wanted someone who seemed a little bit safer. But as I processed these things, and again, as I built more confidence as a person, I was confident enough to say, no, I want a masculine man. I want an alpha male. I don't want someone who I can boss around. That's gross. I want someone who's going to put me in my place, tell me when I'm being an asshole, lay me down and just put something in my mouth. You know, that's, I think, what a lot of strong women want at the end of the day. So I do think it's a little interesting that that's who Kylie would go for. Maybe Travis was monstrous to her. I don't know. He doesn't seem like he was particularly faithful. Come on, dude. He's a rapper. You know, it's like a rapper, an athlete, a politician. Bro, come on. And maybe she looks at Timothy like he's safe. He's an actor too. Like if she's looking at it from that standpoint, like, no, he's not. He's just as much of a risk. Just because he weighs 50 pounds less than the average man, his height doesn't mean he's not going to cheat on you. We know this. It is kill the cheerleader syndrome. Kill the cheerleader. A nerd with power and clout and sexual manipulation abilities, the most dangerous men on planet Earth. The most dangerous men. They will cheat on you. They will neg you because it's revenge for when they were 15 and the cheerleader didn't like them, and now they gotta kill the cheerleader. And even though they could date her, they could marry her, they can't do it. It's like this tick inside them that they can't suppress. Hannah Lee said, she's got a thing for the T's. True. Tyga, Travis, Timothy. I love it. Maybe she just doesn't want to get her towels remonogrammed. Did you ever even think of that? No, I bet you haven't. Oh, apparently he gave a lot of girls chlamydia while at NYU. Timothy Chlamydia? Tim, these jokes are writing themselves. You should have given him herpes or something. There's no pun there. Okay, this is it. This is it. Why the cool artsy guy goes for the basic bitch. When the cool artsy guy you like goes for the basic bitch, why do they do that? Now look. What did we just spend this whole video talking about? The pillars of compatibility, rah, 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 rah. That's true. But there's something else besides compatibility. Adolescence. We also talked about kill the cheerleader, right? It is an interesting principle of human attraction that the girls who inflamed a man's adolescence will be the girls they'd go after forever. Case in point, John F. Kennedy, JFK, famously married to Jackie Kennedy, Jackie O, right? We all know who she is. And he had affairs with Marilyn Monroe. Those women could not be more different. Jackie O was confident. She was incredibly well educated, very smart. Marilyn, smart, but like, she was such a fucking pick-me for JFK. And I think she slept with his brother too. It was just a disaster, right? And like buxom and sexual, and that's her whole thing. Always trying to be taken seriously. Everyone took Jackie O seriously. So when JFK would visit Paris, he frequented the brothel of this lady, Madame Claude. She's a fascinating character in history. Fascinating. And you know what kind of hookers he requested? Guess who they looked like? Who would you think it is? Jackie or Marilyn? Obviously, you're going to say Marilyn, right? No, it was Jackie. He was married to her. She was in Paris at the hotel room, and he would request hookers who looked like his wife, even dressed up like her. Is this the weirdest thing you've ever heard? On the surface, yes, but when you know anything about JFK and his family, not at all. Who were the Kennedys? They were criminals, dude. The Kennedy patriarch, was it Joe? Made all his money in prohibition. It was basically like running booze. He was like a rum runner. And they were kind of the Kardashians of the time. Like, they were such new money, such a bad reputation. And they were like, fuck you guys. We are going to come up super hard. We're going to legitimize ourselves. We're going to put a kid in the White House. That's what we're going to do. Now, the Kardashians haven't done that, but they're trying to distance themselves from the origins, whether it's a sex tape or it's basically organized crime. And what does someone like that look up to when they're in adolescence? When that kid is like, everyone's got a bad view of you, your family has a bad reputation, you're kind of the trash, who are you hoping to get the attention of when you're 14 years old? The debutante girl, the rich bitch, the girl, the Serena Vanderwoodson, the Blair Waldorf, the girl who has never had an issue, always born lucky and status and titled. There are examples like this throughout history. Lord Byron and Caroline Lamb, Gossip Girl, right? Like, we see this all the time. And so, of course, that's who Kennedy latched onto. That's who he loved. That's who he was constantly chasing. Not chicks like Marilyn, the trashy girls who would do anything for his attention, because she's beneath him. Jackie was above. So you look at the artsy guy going for the basic bitch, makes perfect sense. It's a JFK Jackie situation. The artsy people are artsy because they're not the jocks. They're not the popular kids. And listen, I was artsy, okay? I was emo, for goodness sakes, for a long time. And it's not to say that like you can't be popular if you're artsy, but it's just a different niche. You're not the captain of the football team. You're not homecoming queen. It's just a whole different lane, right? And no matter how much you're king of the hipsters, king of the artsy, you're not homecoming queen. You're not student council president. You're just not. It's not the same thing. And you will always look at those people like you are on the outside and they're on the inside, and they make all the rules. Again, we're tribal creatures and they're the chiefs. Who doesn't want to be around the leader? Who doesn't want to be beloved by the head honcho? What is celebrity other than that? So I think you can look at these as opposites attracting, but when you look at the psychology, if you scratch the surface of that, yeah, like the skinny kid and the girl with the huge tits and every guy wants to fuck her. Guys don't want to fuck Kylie Jenner, but she has that, people think that they do, whatever. Of course that's going to catch his eye. Of course, like Pete Davidson and Kim K. I'm sure he was jerking off to Kim K forever before like he got to bang her. Or like Emily Ratajkowski, same thing, right? Like these were things that inflamed an adolescence. So you kind of have to look at the psychology of it. However, a lot of things can kick in. Like we said, pillars of compatibility might not be there. Kill the cheerleader might also take effect. So if the guy you like, if the artsy guy you like is going after the basic bitch, it's probably not going to last that long. Honestly, she'll probably dump him. Because the basic bitches, they don't really want the artsy guy. They want the captain of the football team. They want a mirror. They're a golden retriever. They want another golden retriever, right? That is going to enable them to move through society in a much more lubricated way. The artsy guy won't. They might be great at home for intellectual stimulation. The basic bitch might be more of a social creature, and so she needs something different. So don't freak out. Okay, one more. When Chanel collabs with Fashion Nova. If that doesn't say it all. If that doesn't say it all. Yeah, Timothy, for all of his ropey, spaghetti-armed punches that he would throw in a bar fight, he does give classy. He does. And Kylie, I don't know. What do you guys think? What do you guys think about this? Who's out of whose league? Who's out of whose league? Who are you rooting for? Does this deeply irritate you? If you're super into Timothy, what is it? And okay, why was it so hot to watch him make out with Armie Hammer in Call Me By Your Name? Why? Why? What does that say about us? We're so sick. We're so twisted. What does this mean? I don't know. Maybe I don't want to know the psychology of this. Tell me your thoughts, Shalligators. We're going to be back tomorrow with a video about Joe and Taylor. Don't worry, I got you. And like I said, join the Shallontrage. Follow me on Instagram. I'll see you later.